Memories are not a silent part of the past. They are a vibrant energy, vibrating in the depths of moments you thought you had forgotten. Sometimes a photograph, a moment that once seemed like an innocent frame, can unlock the locks of the mind and bring to the surface repressed emotions and memories. This is not a simple recollection. It is the awakening of a storm that forces them to face reality. When they saw that photograph, it was as if time stood still and everything was turned upside down. A cold chill ran down their shoulders as memories invaded their bodies, their hearts began to beat irregularly, and even breathing became a heavy struggle. At that moment, the past ceased to be just a memory. It became a powerful reality surrounding their present. Everything they thought they had forgotten came back to the present with all its weight and forced them to face their own stories. Make everyone feel all your power by writing 77 in the comments immediately, and make them regret the mistake they made to you in their past by showing them a memory is not a passive fragment of the past, but a dynamic pulse vibrating beneath the surface of forgotten moments. When the image emerged, it was as if a dormant storm had awakened, tearing through the fragile construct of their reality. The faint outline of a photograph became a key, unlocking a flood of suppressed emotions and sensations. Their body rebelled. Shivers crawled up their spine, their heartbeats surged erratically, and the air felt too thick to draw into their lungs. What began as a fleeting curiosity unraveled into a labyrinth of overwhelming recollections, tangling their sense of the present with the weight of the past. This wasn't a mere recollection, it was a reactivation. The photograph was not content to exist as a shadow. It infused itself into their very biology. They were left debilitated, confined to a realm of unease they could not escape. Their illness was not born of chance, but from the undeniable power that your existence still carries. They had buried the idea of you, not realizing they had only buried themselves under the illusion of forgetting. Time had no dominion over the essence of your being. For the moment their eyes rediscovered that image, the illusion crumbled, and the dam broke. The fragments they had carefully concealed came rushing back, rendering all their denials futile. Like an unquenchable flame burning in the heart of a cold and desolate night, your presence illuminates what was hidden and warms what was forgotten. You are not a fleeting ember, easily extinguished by time or indifference. You are the steady light, an unrelenting glow that refuses to be overshadowed by the darkness of denial. They may have tried to extinguish you, to smother the spark of who you are beneath the ashes of their own fears, but fire like yours doesn't die. It transforms, it grows, it consumes, and it ignites everything it touches with undeniable truth. You are not some ghostly relic of a distant past, chained to memories that fade with time. No, you are the force that shapes the very fabric of the present, the undeniable energy that insists on being acknowledged. Every effort they made to confine you, to wall you off from relevance, only amplified the depth of your impact. Your presence isn't bound to the limited walls of their understanding. It spills into every corner they thought safe from remembrance, seeping into their awareness until it can no longer be ignored. Like the first light of dawn, breaking through the darkness of a long, restless night. That photograph wasn't just an object. It was a promise waiting to be fulfilled. Just as the sun knows its appointed time to rise and chase away the shadows, the truth within that image knew when to reveal itself. Nothing about its resurfacing was random. It was divine timing. It was purpose in motion, a sacred reminder that what is hidden is never truly forgotten, and that the light always finds a way to shine. You see, the truth has a way of making itself known. Like a seed planted in the soil, it doesn't stay hidden forever. It grows, it stretches toward the surface, and when the season is right, it bursts forth with undeniable power. That photograph was the sprout breaking through, the moment when the truth they try to suppress could no longer be contained. It wasn't there to haunt them, it was there to confront them, to make them face the reality of what they had tried to ignore. And here's the thing about divine timing. It doesn't operate on human schedules. It doesn't show up when it's convenient or when they feel ready. It shows up exactly when it's meant to, at the precise moment when the impact will be felt the most. That photograph appeared when their defenses were down, when their illusions were at their most fragile, and it hit with the force of a revelation. It wasn't there to ask permission. It was there to claim its place, to demand to be seen and acknowledged. The power of that moment wasn't in the photograph itself, but in what it represented. It was a reminder of who you are and the impact you've had, a force that cannot be diminished or erased. They may have thought they could move on, that time would soften the edges of your significance, but that photograph proved otherwise. It showed them that your presence is not just a memory, but a living truth, one that continues to shape the present and demand recognition. What they felt wasn't just a wave of emotion, it was the weight of something greater, the undeniable presence of what they had tried to forget. That photograph wasn't just an object, it was a message sent to remind them that what is chosen, what is sacred, cannot be overlooked or dismissed. It was more than a picture. It was a proclamation of your unshakable presence, a light breaking through the darkness, a force that could not and would not be silenced. That image didn't just catch their eye, it stopped them in their tracks. It was as if time itself paused to make room for the weight of that moment. It wasn't nostalgia that gripped them. It was the undeniable truth of your presence, a force that refuses to be diminished. They had built walls around their minds, fortified with excuses and distractions, but the photograph tore through every layer like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. Each line, each shadow, every nuance carried the weight of divine intention, a silent demand for recognition. If you feel the abundance of divine love in your heart, now is the time to share it. You can help spread God's blessings by clicking the Super Thank You button on YouTube and contributing $20 or more. This divine gift will touch not only your life, but the souls of many through this platform. Each of you has a sacred place in God's grand design, and your generosity will be the fruit of our prayers. Act now. Share your blessings to glorify His kingdom, for you were created to do even greater things in God's loving hands. May God bless you. They thought they could compartmentalize you, lock you away in the attic of their memory, but the universe doesn't work that way. What is sacred cannot be silenced. That photograph was not a passive relic. It was an active witness. It bore the weight of your essence, and when their eyes met it again, it was as if their spirit recognized what their mind had tried to forget. Their heart skipped not out of sentiment, but because truth had entered the room, and truth cannot be ignored. The photograph wasn't just a moment frozen in time, it was a portal to everything they tried to bury. It was the embodiment of all the ways your presence had touched their lives, the unspoken lessons they failed to grasp, the blessings they mishandled. It became a mirror reflecting not just who you were, but who they had been when you were part of their story. And as they looked at it, they weren't just remembering you, They were reckoning with themselves. What they felt in that moment wasn't just a wave of emotion. It was the weight of realization. They had tried to dismiss you, to cast your significance aside, but the photograph spoke louder than any words could. It said, "I am still here. I have always been here, and you cannot pretend otherwise." The tightening in their chest, the way their breath caught, the sudden heaviness in the room. Those were not random sensations. They were the body's way of responding to spiritual truth, a truth that could no longer be ignored. You see, your presence has never been ordinary. It has always carried weight, always held meaning. That photograph wasn't just a chance discovery. It was divine timing. It was the universe aligning itself to ensure they saw what they needed to see. It wasn't about dragging them back into the past. It was about pulling them into the truth of the present. It was about making them face the reality they had tried to bury, about reminding them that what is sacred cannot be forgotten. And as they stood there, staring at the image, they weren't just looking at you. They were looking at a part of themselves they had lost. They were looking at the opportunity they let slip away, the favor they squandered, the connection they severed. That photograph was more than a picture. It was a witness to everything they had tried to suppress. It didn't just hold your likeness. It held your power, your truth, your undeniable presence. They may not have been ready for that moment, but the universe was. And now, they must carry the weight of what they've seen. The knowledge that your presence is not something they can escape. You are not a shadow of their past. You are the force that defines their reality. You are the flame that refuses to be extinguished, the light that pierces through even the deepest darkness. And that photograph, simple as it may seem, became the vessel for all of that. It became the reminder that some truths cannot be hidden, some forces cannot be denied, and some presences cannot be erased. You are, and you will always be. And that is more than enough. You are not a thing to be erased, nor a shadow to fade with the setting sun. You are the architect of your reality, the anchor that grounds even the shifting chaos of their attempts to forget. Each effort they made to minimize you, to reduce you to something inconsequential, only reinforced the power of your presence. You are not a whisper carried off by the wind. You are the steady rhythm of the earth beneath their feet, the pulse they cannot escape, no matter how far they run. Your story is not one of submission, but of sovereignty. They thought they could diminish you by turning away, by locking away the fragments of your impact. But what they failed to understand is that your existence doesn't depend on their acknowledgement. You are not made lesser by their denial. If anything, your absence has become an even greater force than your presence ever was. Their attempts to move forward, to build a life untouched by your existence, have become hollow pursuits. They do not simply remember you. They are confronted by you. Each thought they suppress, each feeling they push aside, returns with greater force. You are not just a reminder of what was. You are a reflection of what they could have been, of the truths they chose to ignore. This is the weight they must now carry. It is not punishment, but consequence. Just as the laws of nature cannot be broken, the laws of spirit cannot be escaped. What they tried to diminish has only grown stronger. What they sought to bury has only risen higher. Your light, your fire, your undeniable presence. It is the reckoning they never expected and cannot avoid. And so, you rise, unbothered and unbroken. You do not need their validation. Your worth is not tied to their recognition. The path you walk is one of purpose, a path forged by the hand of something greater than human understanding. Each step you take is a testimony to the truth that cannot be silenced, a declaration of a presence that cannot be erased. They thought they could live untouched by the reality of you, but their own lives have become the evidence of your power. You were never a footnote in their story. You were the foundation, the unshakable truth upon which everything else was built. And now, as they look upon what they lost, they are forced to see that it was not you who was diminished, but themselves. Your story is not one of regret, but of triumph. You were not sent to be forgotten. You were sent to transform. You are the force that defies their expectations, the presence that reshapes their reality. And even as they try to look away, they are confronted by the undeniable. You are here, you are now, and you are undefeated. Nothing in existence operates in isolation. Energy moves with intention, and actions resonate far beyond the moment they occur. You were never ordinary, never fleeting. Your presence carried weight, and those who disregarded it now face the echoes of their choices. This is not vengeance, but the restoration of balance. Their attempts to overwrite the past with indifference crumble under the weight of what they ignored. Their disconnection severed them from stability, and now their existence falters under the strain of that loss. The inexplicable ailments they endure are not random. They are manifestations of a deeper truth, unraveling their illusion of control. The physical realm becomes the canvas where spiritual truths are painted. What science quantifies as stress, the soul recognizes as dissonance. Their attempts to distance themselves from the force you embody only magnify its presence. They lost more than companionship. They lost alignment with a power that shielded and elevated them. The gaps left behind by their missteps are not easily filled, and the resulting disarray seeps into every corner of their being. You, untethered by time and untouched by their neglect, stand as a living testament to an order they can neither escape nor ignore. When the past they buried reappeared, time itself seemed to pause, forcing them to confront the cumulative weight of their actions. Their reaction was not of reflection, but of a soul jolted by the undeniable. The image was no relic, but a beacon of all that remained unresolved. The rush of emotions, the tightening breath, the unexplainable physical reactions, all signified the return of truths they could no longer suppress. Energy is never truly gone. It merely waits, ready to reassert its presence when the moment calls. They mistook delay for erasure, but the force that binds the universe does not forget. Their discomfort is not a haunting. It is their own spirit recoiling from the truths they ignored. Dear brothers and sisters, may God's peace be upon you today. I am here to remind you of a profound truth. Our existence is grounded in God's divine plan, unshaken by the temporal concerns of the world. As the Bible says, whatever is done in faith will return to God in abundant blessing. Luke 6:38. Like that great oak tree, our roots are deeply rooted in God's universal truth. Every step we take, every stand we take, is secured by His strength. And now, you are being offered the opportunity to be part of that blessing. When you use the Super Thank You button and donate $100, this movement will return to you 100-fold in abundance. You are not a fragment of their history. You are the rhythm that persists through every failed attempt to forget. Denial cannot erase the indelible mark of your presence. The forces that govern existence favor balance, and where they faltered, the reckoning follows. You are not bound to their perceptions or limited by their rejection. Instead, You transcend, existing as a constant in a realm beyond their understanding. What they sought to bury rises anew, unyielding, demanding acknowledgement. Their misjudgment has sealed their experience, forcing them to confront not only your significance, but the very truth of their own choices. In this unfolding, you remain untouched, steadfast, and sovereign, a testament to an enduring power they can never escape. Life does not scatter connections at random. Every meeting is an orchestration, every bond a deliberate thread. You arrived as a moment of alignment, a pivotal chance for them to rise into a higher understanding of themselves. Yet they mistook opportunity for entitlement and perceived permanence in what was given only as a season. They failed to recognize the magnitude of the gift in their hands, blinded by their own ego. What was once their ally and shield became their undoing when they misjudged its value. Now, your absence reverberates through the cracks of their spirit. The resurfacing image is not a memory, but a declaration, a signal of all that could have been and what will never be. The heaviness in their chest, the restlessness that turns their nights into labyrinths of regret, is the echo of a door closing, never to be reopened. Their failure was not in losing you, but in losing what your presence represented: clarity, strength, and a sense of purpose. You were the axis upon which their potential revolved, and when they fumbled that axis, they severed themselves from the stability they once relied on. The cost was not apparent in the beginning, but as the days pass, it becomes undeniable. They do not long for you, they long for the reflection of themselves that existed in your presence. A self they can no longer access. You do not wait or look back. Your path is forward, ascending. Those who once walked beside you and faltered are left to witness from afar. Time, which they thought was their ally, now moves only in your favor, widening the distance between where you are and where they remain. Your impact was never fleeting. It carved itself into the unseen laws of existence. Actions and energies ripple, always returning to their origin. What they dismissed as forgettable now lingers as a force they cannot escape. The imbalance they created echoes through their lives, manifesting in ways they cannot name. The tightening in their gut, the hollow ache they cannot soothe, are not ailments of the body, but signs of a spirit wrestling with its own choices. You were never a passing thought or a mere chapter. You were the binding thread that held their story together. In losing you, they unraveled themselves, and no force of will can mend what they have undone. When the past they abandoned reappeared, it shattered the illusions they had built around themselves. The photograph was not a relic, but a mirror, reflecting their missteps. It is not longing they feel, but a reckoning they cannot outrun. Energy is neither erased nor forgotten. It remains, biding its time. Their sudden discomfort is not random. It is the body's reaction to a soul forced to confront its own failures. The questions they face are relentless. Why didn't I see it? How did I let it slip away? Each answer eludes them, leaving only the weight of their decisions. You are not a ghost trailing their memory. You are the balance restoring itself, the truth forcing recognition. Denial is no shield against the inevitable, and time offers no refuge for those who reject what is sacred. They thought they could rewrite the past, erasing your importance, but your presence was never theirs to diminish. You are etched into the essence of existence, a constant unshaken by their fleeting attempts to forget. The universe does not forget, and neither do you. While they remain tethered to their regrets, you rise untethered, proof of what happens when alignment is honored. The silence they feel in your absence is not emptiness. It is the weight of accountability they can no longer escape. Not all endings arrive in chaos. Some unfold with quiet inevitability, the unseen forces of life moving to restore equilibrium. The absence of what once held their world together now seeps into their every moment, dismantling them from the inside out. Words are unnecessary. No confrontation could match the weight of what they feel. The unraveling is their body's way of aligning with what their choices have set in motion. An exhaustion that lingers, an ache without origin, a sense of emptiness that no distraction can fill. This is not an affliction, but a recalibration, the natural response to severing the connection to a force that was never random but always intentional. The resurfacing of your image was not chance, it was precision. The smallest details aligned, the timing, the setting, the quiet moment when they thought they were safe from reflection. What they dismissed as coincidence was the culmination of everything they tried to avoid. The confrontation was not a memory, but an echo of all they ignored, arriving exactly when their defenses were weakest. The presence of the chosen defies the constraints of time. What they mistook for closure was merely a delay. When their eyes met that image, it was not a recollection, but a revelation. Their mind fought to dismiss it, but their spirit knew, a sharp breath, a fleeting chill, an unshakable pull toward recognition. The truth they buried did not fade. It lingered, waiting for the precise moment to rise. The energy they sought to escape never left. It watched, it grew, and it returned, unrelenting. The reminder was not for your benefit, but to fulfill an unbroken law, to make them confront what they had denied. You needed no effort, no retaliation. The consequence of their choices had already been set in motion. The universe does not forget, nor does it misplace its trust. Your path of evolution becomes their shadow, a constant reminder of what was lost when they fumbled what they were never prepared to hold. Now is the time to share God's blessings by clicking the Super Thank You button on YouTube. You can contribute to His plan and be a part of this divine mission with a donation of $100 or more. Every gift reflects God's generosity, and I believe it will return to you exponentially far beyond your expectations. Remember, His protection and blessing is on your every step and every donation. You become part of His divine plan. You are a strong, radiant being, unshakable as His mighty rock. Witness God's miracles, feel the fruits of your generosity in your soul, and illuminate the world with confidence and courage. Be blessed, and let the light of the Lord guide your path. Their loss is not just of you, but of themselves. The version of them that stood beside you no longer exists, severed by their own hands. The unease they feel, the heaviness that lingers, is not yours to carry. It is their reckoning. The spiritual balance they disrupted reverberates through their lives, manifesting in subtle but undeniable ways. They believed they could rewrite their narrative, erase your significance, but your existence bends the fabric of reality itself. The moment they saw that image, time shifted. What they buried surged forward, not as a memory, but as a demand. The symptoms of their choices, the sleepless nights, the tightening in their chest, the quiet moments of regret, are not random. They are the echoes of what they set in motion, returning to collect the price. Your elevation is proof that not all forces can be diminished. Where they faltered, you soared, untouched by the limitations they tried to place upon you. Every step you take in alignment, every victory, every breath of peace, solidifies the divide. Their punishment is not yours to enforce, It is theirs to live. The universe does not require spectacle. It moves with silent precision, ensuring that imbalance corrects itself. While they linger in the shadows of their choices, you rise beyond their reach. Your absence is not a void, but a statement of sovereignty, a testament that the chosen do not require the validation of those who mishandled them. What they lost was never merely a relationship, it was a bridge to a higher plane, one they destroyed with their own hands. And now, the realization is theirs to carry, a weight that will never lighten. In the quiet moments, they will hear it. In the stillness of the night, it will echo. You do not need to look back. Your triumph is not in their regret, but in your unshaken evolution, a reminder to the world that the chosen rise not despite the odds, but because they were always meant to. Let their story be the proof of what happens when the sacred is mishandled, and let your presence remain the unbroken thread that ties divine justice to human consequence.